Hello. I'm doing a video in a sort of a response or that regarding Rabbi Yishai Fleisher's um, recent video concerning the Abrahamic faith versus the Noahide path, and also the book, a little bit about the book, Adrift Among the Nations. Um, watching Rabbi Fleisher's video last week, it seemed very interesting, very nice. He feels that we need to rebrand the Noahide that apparently hasn't caught on the way that he feels it should catch on, rebrand it as Abrahamic or Abraham, having Abraham centers. This will make more people interested. It'll draw in a larger crowd, I suppose. I just want to mention, I've been a Noahide. I've been involved in Noahide, the Bnei Noach movement, for 17 years. Most of that time, I've been associated with Ask Noah and Chabad. I've also been involved with other groups, such as the Road of the Ger crowd, as well as others. I've tried to stay open to a wide variety of ideas. What Rabbi Fleisher is proposing is that we adopt it, not just a different name, but apparently a different vision for what we're doing. Sort of following what I remember in the old days, the evangelism system, church planting and evangelism, is that we come up with, what we call focus groups, find out what people want, and open up, I guess, a community center that is also a church or a religious center that'll draw in the masses. That's what we always envisioned back in the old days of when I was going to church. We would constantly be coming up with new ideas. Every couple years, we would come up with a new, radically different idea that would supposedly take care of what didn't work before, only to have that not work, and then we would try something different later on. I'm concerned that this Abrahamic idea, while it sounds very nice, may actually be just a rebranding of what we've been trying to do anyway. We're trying to be Bnei Noach, what the Torah has always defined as Bnei Noach, and we're trying to find out how to work within the system, within the Torah system. How do we attach ourselves to the Torah? How do we attach ourselves to the Jewish people as Bnei Noach? This is what we've been trying to figure out, and what Rabbi Fleisher is proposing to us is a new idea. It sounds very good. It just reminds me a lot of what I had back in my church days when somebody would come in with a new idea that really didn't address, I'm not sure what it's addressing. I'm not opposed to new ideas. In fact, I see a lot of the concerns. The Noahides, there are legitimate concerns about how things have been presented to us. There's a lot of misunderstanding about what we're allowed to do. Even amongst the different groups, they're not always discussing the same thing. They are discussing the same thing. They're just claiming the other person is not discussing the same thing. I don't know. It's just what one of the things that's being proposed is to bring us a new calendar to associate ourselves with the Torah calendar. That's already being discussed amongst Noahides. We already do this to a large extent. There are parts of the calendar that we adopt. Different rabbis will have different arguments as to what we are allowed to do, but everyone agrees that the calendar is important. And that we support Israel. Amongst the Jewish people, there's a variety of levels of support and how they support Israel. Everyone agrees, pretty much everyone agrees that Israel is a good thing. the level of focus may be different among different rabbis, and also likewise among different sectors of the Bnei Noach movement, the Noahide movement. So not everybody is on board exactly the same in that regard. My concern is if we take a very specific approach, which seems to be the approach with this Abrahamic idea, we're taking a very specific approach, we're leaving out all the other approaches. And that's a concern to me, because you're going to be cutting out parts of the Bnei Noach movement, which if a particular rabbi feels that the one way is the correct way, he may not care if he's knocking everybody else out. Of course, how is that any different from rabbis that are saying, well, maybe we need to be cautious about Shabbos, and that they're knocking out a certain segment. So I'm not really sure what's being changed with this new idea. This new idea is not going to be inclusive the way that it's being said it will be inclusive, any more than the rabbis involved today would be inclusive. They intend to be inclusive, but oftentimes it gets you wind up segmenting people. I would suggest that the Noahides are also a very dangerous crowd. We don't understand ourselves as such. The Bnei Noach, we assume everyone's happy. If you sign up as a Noahide, you're always going to be happy campers. History, today is the 10th of Av. Yesterday was the 9th of Av. I had the opportunity, I kind of wish Mashiach would come and it would be a festival, but I had the opportunity yesterday of sitting on the floor with the Kinas. When I read the Kinas, I'm not reading it as a Jew, I'm reading it as a Bnei Noach. I understand the very dangerous nature of the Bnei Noach and what we're capable of, especially many of these difficulties that have happened in the past were with people that were supportive of the Jews, who came in honestly understanding themselves to be happy, to be the friends of the Jews. I think of Avimelech. He was Abraham's greatest buddy. It didn't turn out to be so great, but he understood himself to be his best buddy. Pharaoh was a great friend of the Jewish people, a great friend of Joseph. He loved the Jews and he was very happy with them. How did that turn out in the long run? Shechem didn't, they were ready to become great allies with the Jewish people. That didn't work. Babylon was very impressed when the King Hezekiah invited them along and showed them the wonders of what was there, the Torah and the wonders of the temple. That seemed like a good idea. It wasn't. It turned out to be a disaster. And the same with the Romans. Where do you think happened with all the pious Romans, the God-fearers? Where did they go when the temple was being destroyed? None of these things have worked. None of the movements, the Bnei Noach movements of the past, have really been that great of a thing in the long run. I understand that as myself. I go and I when I say the Kinos and when I say Lamentations, I understand the danger involved, and quite frankly, it puts the fear of God in me as going down the Noahide path rather than convert, where I wouldn't have to worry that much about it. But the way that I handle it is by going into discipline, which is what's being offered by groups like Ask Noah, is a certain measure of discipline. I go into my 4 Amos of Torah, into the 4 Amos of Halakha, primarily. And that's where I find my discipline, and that Torah, my 4, which is available to the non-Jew. All these books behind me is available to the non-Jew to study. And other non-Jews, other Bnei Noach, will go into the 4 Amos of Torah. They'll go into Musar, or they'll go into some level of discipline that forces them not to just simply do whatever they want. And that's difficult, but I think as long as we operate within that framework. Now, I'm not against the idea of the Abrahamic concept, except I'm not really sure if it's a good idea to say it's something new and kind of boo-hoo what's already being done. I think if you want to add it to the mix, that's good. But the criticisms against Noahide saying it's a failed system, that I'm very concerned with. If you want to do something that works in conjunction with, that would be good. But don't attack those who are trying to go under the discipline of Torah, of halakha or musar, as many of us are doing now. So I do wish you the very best with that venture. Perhaps I could see some value to it. I think we're kind of putting the cart before the ox, so to speak. We need people before we can expect to have community centers. We need community first. And that already exists if the non-Jews get involved with the shows, with the existing structures that already exist. I think we can do it. But otherwise, it's just a pie in the sky idea, and I get very nervous about that. Thank you. Did I seem at all?
I can't believe